sports and entertainment video. My name is Wood. Do me a favor, check out the It's Always Personal podcast that's out there on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Did I say Apple? Anchor. It's links to it in some of the descriptions and whatnot. But I'd appreciate, if you dig what I'm talking about over here, I get into other stuff over there, away from sports. Sports is really wilding right now with the whole Deshaun Watson thing down in Houston. I don't even know what's going on with this year's March Madness tournament. We got games tonight on a Monday night, second round. Like I'm kind of lost. I'm out of the loop in it. Here, if you like any of the content on here, please consider becoming a subscriber to the channel. If you dig the way that any of the information is being broken down, analyzed, previewed, recapped, so on and so forth, hit the like button, leave a comment, share it to your circle who have similar interests. I'd appreciate it. I didn't know, I didn't really know that the brothers only boxing stuff. I didn't know that was going on this past weekend with the Vergil Ortiz Jr. fight against Maurice Hooker. I quit watching a bunch of channels and not really tapping in during the week. So I didn't know that had happened this week. I thought if you didn't understand kind of who was likely to win the fight Saturday between Ortiz and Mighty Mo, again, it's baffling how some people follow the sport. Especially if you don't mention the possibility of certain things. And I think definitely, that was kind of the mystery, or that was kind of what was intriguing about the matchup Saturday night was, would Mighty Mo be able to do the things that he needed to do to give himself the best chance to be successful? And I think, he had more things to get right and to manage on Saturday night than Vergil Ortiz did going into the fight. I mean, it was common sense, unless you just only look at things through a particular lens all the time. But, I guess that works for some people. But I'll come back to Ortiz in a second. I want to get into Ortiz's future, looking at the outcome of Saturday's fight. I know I said I'm not going to do a whole bunch of boxing throughout the week. But yesterday during the Sunday recap show, I kind of in engaging with some of the live chat, some of the comments in the live chat, I didn't drive home a couple of points that I had, and I don't want my boxing commentary to look suspect and messed up, so I had to come back and speak on a couple of things. Again, shout out to this week's Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Weekend in Lawrence Okolie. What up, though, Latours? I'm over here cleaning up some stuff. I made a couple errors yesterday. So shout out to this past weekend's Bite Down Boxing Fighter of the Weekend in Lawrence Okolie, the new WBO Cruiserweight champion. Two things that I did want to say was I got one right. And former Cruiserweight champion Tony Bellew agreed. He made some statements that were kind of in line with what I said about Okolie. Maris Brightus, the IBF champion, he can fight. He can box. I think it would be foolish for Okolie to run in there against Brightus thinking that stuff is sweet because you took out Glowacki. Brightus can straight up box and can figure some things out. What you saw and the one-sided fight that you had Saturday against Glowacki, it's awesome. And I'm gonna get into this with Vergil Ortiz in a second. It's awesome when you can go into the championship fights or get to the championship level for the up and coming fighters, for the prospects. It's dope when you in a division and it's a vacant title, or it's a fight against a young champion, a newer champion. That's great. But when you have veteran dudes there waiting for you, such as Vergil Ortiz Jr. at welterweight, it ain't no easy, it ain't no walk in the park. But Okolie, I respect him wanting to face Brightest. It seems like the Cal Sauerland cat, or from Sauerland, that promoter, I forget his name. But he's the promoter for Brightest, and they want to make that fight, according to an article that's out there on Boxing Scene right now. The one thing for Okolie is his height and his reach. You know, he has some advantages, and I'll get into this with Ortiz in just a second. There's some things that bode well for Okolie that he could go in there and figure it out, possibly, against Brightest, but I would stay away from that. The other one is the WBC Cruiserweight Champion. I couldn't think of his name yesterday, but Alungu Makabu. I caught him last year fighting. He fought a cat in Russia, I believe. It was a card that I watched, and dude has nice power. He has real hands. So again, you know, shout out to Okolie, who is improving, getting better, you know, with each fight and whatnot. But you accomplish, you know, the main objective in becoming a world champion. You might want to ease back a little bit and now work on your craft and just take things at a slower speed and make your next move your best move. Some of these other guys are not going to, like I said yesterday, some of these guys are not going to be as cooperative as Krzysztof Glowacki was. So, word to the wise. Another thing that I was talking about yesterday was Joe Cordina, the super featherweight who fought on the undercard of Okolie Glowacki. Cordina is a super featherweight, 130 pounder, and he said that he wants to get into the world title picture at the end of this year. And I said, you know, he was kind of on my radar a little bit because Eddie Hearn was so big. Eddie Hearn is looking for a guy who can be a player in the on the international level and get away from those Commonwealth belts and European titles. We saw, like I mentioned yesterday, we saw Avanesian take apart Pretty Boy Josh Kelly and took him off of the chessboard. Now Cordina is the next guy. My thing was at 130 pounds, with Cordina really not showing me that he has a lot of power, the same concern I had about Pretty Boy Kelly. Did you just see Oscar Valdez and Miguel Berchelt? Did you just see that it wasn't really a war, but did you see the power displayed in that fight? You look at a Shakur Stevenson up at 130 pounds. Can you outbox a Shakur Stevenson for 12 rounds? Can you win 7 rounds or 8 rounds against a Shakur Stevenson? No. Did you see Rene Alvarado and Roger Gutierrez a couple of weeks ago for the 130-pound WBA regular title? I don't know what Tank Davis, Gervonta Davis, I don't know what his next move is. He has, what does he have? 2 regular, 130-pound regular title and 135-pound regular title, something like that. And now he might be fighting at 140. But again, if he stays at super featherweight for Joe Cordina, can you do anything with those guys? That trying to be a slick boxer, being a slick boxer in the UK is one thing. Coming over to the States or fighting on the international level and being a slick boxer who can actually be effective in that style, that's something completely different. And not being able to really bang when you need to bang is going to be a challenge for Joe Cordina. So work on some more stuff. The way that you went 10 rounds or whatever it was with Korbanov yesterday or Saturday, you know, to not hurt that guy the entire 10 rounds, to not outbox him for large stretches of the fight, you got some work to do, Joe Cordina. You got the looks, beautiful hair, and you look good, but this is boxing. Ortiz, Vergil Ortiz. Again, what I was just saying, he's not in one of these divisions where you can go up and face somebody you can face another contender for a vacant title. You're not fighting some old and faded champion who's just trying to cash out before going down the road into something else. Like you have Errol Spence Jr. and Terrence Crawford there waiting for you. This fight against Hooker, this fight against Mo Hooker, let's be real. Boxing is the most racist, is the most race baiting or race hustling sport of all sports. Some of us needed to see how Vergil Ortiz's skill set would match up against a black fighter. That's the truth. I thought he was going to win the fight. He won the fight. I always thought the youngster Boots Ennis was had the bigger upside between the two. Another thing, if you're watching boxing channels and they're telling you that Ortiz and Jaron Ennis should fight next or should fight before either one of them fight for a world title, like that's the dumbest shit in the world. If you have this is the job of this is what I hate when people try to be promoters and try to be managers and stuff. Your job is to get your fighter to a world title. And it makes absolutely no sense in the world for Vergil Ortiz and Jaron Ennis to fight one another. Not even from Jaron Ennis. It makes no sense for him to take that fight. You want to be going in the path that you can get to a world title shot. So that's the stupidest shit in the world. Man, it's very rare that Latourus agrees with me, but I'm gonna take that. Let me write that down. What is today? March 21st or something? Let me write that down. Yeah. The thing is this. With Ortiz, what's up, 503 Lion? If we're looking at Vergil Ortiz fighting Terrence Crawford, if they can make the fight, then make the fight. I mean, what else are they going to do at welterweight? I mean, what else is going on at welterweight? It's not a good move for the kid. I think they could be more patient with him, but I don't see Vergil Ortiz getting any better. He's in a situation where he's just not going to be dominant against the elite guys at 147. He can go in there and compete. He's tough. He has a good game about him, but against all of the upper echelon fighters at 147, it's gonna be a real fight for him. That's just what it is. And I said this before. It's not a lot of separation between a lot of the better guys at 147. It's nobody knocking dudes out left and right. You know. There's nobody with that type of power in the division right now. There's no 6-foot fighter out there who has, tail of the tape advantages that makes him unique. Like when a Paul Williams was around. Thought somebody was walking through my yard. Jaron Ennis might be the quickest dude out there. He might have the best footwork and a couple of other things that set him apart. And that's why we want to see so much. 503, I'm probably in the minority, man. If they can make the fight, you make the fight. I saw a shout out to Ohio Runs Boxing. Not saying that he's in the chat, but I saw him on Instagram earlier saying that Jermell Charlo and what we saw with Jermell Charlo and Erickson Lubin. That's the same thing that we would see with Bud and Vergil Ortiz. I don't agree with that. It's not going to be a first round knockout. I just think it'll be a good fight. And that's the thing. Like, we got to understand what some fighters and some promoters' objective is. Not everybody. I wouldn't rush that fight. Oscar goes relaxed. This is his last horse. I agree with that. I do agree that they should pull back on that. But I'm just saying, if that's what they want to do, I wouldn't say don't do it. But I was gonna say is we gotta take into consideration that what some promoters and what some fighters are in the game for. Maybe Vergil Ortiz is like, I'm gonna go take my shot. if I get beat by the best guy in the world, I get beat by the best guy in the world, and maybe for me, somebody is in my yard. Okay. But maybe somebody just wants to go test himself. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I was in there with the best. I took my shot. I shot my shot. It's okay to do that. It's only some promoters and some fighters who want to sit here and make sure that everything is in their favor. The rehydration clause, the perfect purse split. I'm not saying that's the wrong way to be. I'm just saying it might be other players in the game who don't look at it the same way. So if they want to make that fight, and it can be made, my only question as a fan is, it's not a pay-per-view fight. So if they can put it on TV or cable TV, I don't give a damn if they make the fight or not. I'm going to watch it. Now, if they want me to pay $75 to watch Crawford Ortiz, I'm out. I'm out. Dave Chappelle voice, meth intruder pit. So that's all I was really going to say, man. Ortiz is in it with a good card. I pay. You might be right. Latours, you might be right, man. Yeah. If they put it together right, I guess I could pay. Because I do see that fight. Going probably between 5 and 9 rounds. So that's not a bad fight. And if I get it again, if you give me a title eliminator in the co-main, or if you give me a decent matchup in the co-main, I might buy that one. I might. But again, I think the prudent thing to do, let me throw a dictionary word in there. The prudent thing to do would be hold the kid back, look for another fight or two, and go from there. Quick note before I get on out of here, though. I do like what the PBC is doing with the Staniosis kid against Thomas Delorme on the Boots Ennis and Sergey Lipinets card. I think we got some bodies at 147, some guys that are 25 years and younger that, again, what's going on in the division with Spence and with Spence and Crawford, and how difficult it is to book a fight with either one of those dudes. A lot of these guys can't do nothing with those guys in the division until they get the hell out of the way. So, but I do dig the Ennis fight against Lipinets is great for the division. I think that answers kind of the final questions that we might have about Jaron Ennis. And then to see Stanionis against Delorme is a damn good fight for Stanionis, who I think is pretty nice. We also had a Yele Usanov cat out there. He's over on DAZN. He just took out Julius Ndongo in 2 rounds, I think. So I don't know what's next for him. The Jesus Ramos guy that's with the PBC, I would like to see him stay at 140, possibly. But if he's going to be up at welterweight, which I believe he fought at like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I like what I see in him. Again, Vergil Ortiz is in there at the top of the bunch. We got all of these young bodies right there that are kind of assembling at welterweight. We just need some fights for them. So I think that's a pretty good card, April 10th on Showtime. And that's about it, man. Let me get on out of here. Enjoy your day. Again, that whole Okolie situation, I think bruh still has some work to do. Joe Cordina, a lot of work to do. Vergil Ortiz, he can do a number of different things, but I think at the end of the day, he just doesn't have, and this is not a knock against him, this is just reality. He just, he doesn't have like really elite, any one real truly elite attribute that's going to make him a big time favorite in most of the matchups against the elite. It's gonna be a fight, and if you want to fight, go ahead and fight. You know, maybe he can get in some of these situations and figure it out. And I said, what the hell is going on in my basement? Let me get on out of here, man. Bite down boxing, don't let them count you out. Appreciate everybody that checked in. 503 Lion, Latours, Harrison. I thought I saw somebody else in there. I can't remember the name, but I appreciate those 4 or 5 likes up there. Have a great day. Saturday, back on the zone with Povetkin and White. I might jump on Saturday morning and kind of talk through that one. I can't even remember who else is on that undercard right now, but I think that's the only fight on this coming week. I did see that the card for is that Emmanuel Navarrete and is it Christopher Diaz with all of the Latino fighters on there with Edgar Berlanga in the co-main events against Damon Nicholson. I think that might be like April 10th or something on ESPN. So anyway, let me get on off here, man. Peace.